When I first moved here, I needed a job. I was on student loans and it just wasn't making enough. So I started here as temp and it just became a full-time job. I'm still going to school.
Oh, we encounter all kinds of people. We encounter drug dealers. Actually, there's nice people out there too.
Picked up big chunks of cars, bumpers, panels, all sorts of interesting little odds and ends of vehicles, and unfortunately some pieces of people as well.
When you first start, you find a lot of stuff really gets to you. You're really nervous around the guys with the syringes, injecting heroin. Now, not so nervous. You just keep an eye on them, make sure that once they do get high, they don't start swinging. Because heroin tends to make people dance. People that are high on heroin tend to be dancing to something. It doesn't need to be music. They're swinging their arms, doing, dance. They dance. Why, I don't know. It's just part of the high, I guess. First day, pretty nervous. Hadn't been working for, more than 15 minutes, actually on the street after you got to the beat. There's a guy sitting in the doorway looking for a vein. A needle was like a sewing machine into his arm. He must have poked himself about 20 times looking for a vein. It's probably the first time I've ever seen anybody using any drug, but yeah, I didn't need to see it. Needles make me nervous as it is. The lanes are worse than the streets. In the lane, we've had piles of garbage 20 feet long, 6 feet deep, and 4 feet wide. Picking up piles of garbage the size of vehicles. One night, we were collecting the garbage, and somebody had put a bag out with a paper bag inside right underneath the knot. That's how we pick up the bags. So you assume that if you grab the bag by the knot, that's how it's carried out, so it's a safe place to grab it. But somebody had carried the bag down, and after that put a bag with about 30, 40 syringes in it right underneath the knot. So when I picked it up, I took 8 syringes to the hand, to the thumb, and about 3 went in, through into the thumb here, and then another 5 into this fleshy part at the base of the thumb. So I spent some time on some nice toxic cocktail, and a couple months in, they call it counseling for stress and whatnot.
Well, there's 2 ways of dealing with it, and all of it comes down to knowing your partner. If your partner can deal with what you do and understand that you're not going to put yourself in a position of risk unless it's absolutely necessary, then you can talk about it. Otherwise, you don't talk about it. You keep it inside and deal with it as best you can. Vulnerable? No. Aware of what's going on around me? Very much.
Verbal abuse is pretty much constant. It's something you expected at least once a night from somebody. Yeah, we pay your wages, you're not working hard enough, you're lazy, stuff like that. As long as you don't let it get to you, then it doesn't last long, but if you bark back, then it tends to escalate a little.
Pretty much always anxious when there's a large group of people or a fight going on.
About 3 years ago, up at Main and Hastings, a couple of guys were arguing and I ignored them, shouldn't have. One guy disappeared down into the lane, and when he came back, he had a bunch of friends with him. So it started a gang fight around me. I was pinned between the building, the bus stop, and one gang on one side, the other gang on the other. They were exchanging glass bottles. And they were throwing them so hard, they were breaking on my back and arms, legs. It took me a couple of minutes to fight my way through the crowd and get out into the middle of the street. And they were throwing the bottle so hard, I was 20 feet away and I was still getting hit with glass that was breaking on the buildings and bus stops. late last summer, I guess this was. One of our guys was working out on commercial, and this guy come down the sidewalk stumbling, fell across the hood of his truck. His head was all misshapen. Good chunk of his flesh was peeled back. You could see his skull. Blood pouring everywhere, just coated the whole front of the truck from the driver's door all across the hood, down the sides of the truck. A lot of blood. Apparently this guy had been thrown out of a window, but second or third floor, I don't remember, and gotten up and walked away before the ambulance crews and the police got there. So they were out looking for this guy, and off again, and I don't know whether this guy lived or died, but saw the truck, a lot of blood, and took about an hour to clean it all off.
Pigeon Park. One night, I was on the sweeper, and I was going up and down Hastings and sweeping, and there was this native woman. When I first went there, she was passed out in one of the flower beds. I go by there next time, her pants are down, and some guy's just helping herself. And I guess as the night progressed, she just, all the people, all the fellas that passed by just simply helped themselves to her body. With people like that, there's nothing in. You can't, I mean, people like that are not good people.
So, cheers, brothers.
Yeah, cheers.
Street cleaners? No, I see them every day when they're cleaning up. I say, hi, how you doing? Like, yeah, everywhere I can, I pick up a lot of garbage that people throw out. Like, when he comes up, I put it in his truck. I get along good with all of them. I get along good with everybody.
Just recently, I was cleaning up after our city's fireworks, and I'm in one of our flusher trucks cleaning the street, and the crowd is generally just, like, yeah, good job. But the thing that really made my day, actually my entire week, was there was this little girl walking with her mother down the street, and she's sitting there on the side of the street as my truck goes by, and she's waving like crazy and yelling at the top of her lungs, "Thank you, sir, for cleaning the streets." And she's did this like 2 or 3 times, and it was just the cutest thing. It just really warmed the heart to see that.
I think the general public has respect for us. Whether they know we exist or not, as night shift, we're just not in the public eye as much. But I think for the most part, people do. But there's always the others. Don't have really any respect for anything.
Folks, when life goes on. Life in the game.